on you too, Marcia and Nance. Okay. Um, Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know? Do we ever know, as mothers, what our kids are going to grow up to be? As fathers, we don't know. We have no idea what our own life is going to be like. And because of that uncertainty, how can we live a life of generosity, a life of heartfulness? Given that it's all, in a sense, unknown, it arises in the moment. We don't know from day to day whether it's sunny, whether there's an earthquake, whether it's rain, whether there's catastrophe, whether there's immense joy. So, given that, why not live with a grateful heart? We know from psychology and from testing that when they take college students and people that are in crisis and they have them do gratitude journals, that it improves their quality of life. Absolutely. By just remembering to be grateful, it improves us psychologically, mentally, emotionally. So we have these benefits. But yet, knowing that, we tend to fall back into the familiar. I'm going to call it falling asleep. We fall into a trance of everyday activity. It's not bad, it's the way we're designed. But to bring back to being a grateful heart, if you've met somebody that walks with a grateful heart, chances are you know that person to be kind, to be generous, to be humble, to actually inspire you to be a better person. So we know that these people are out there as examples, walking around. Why not be one of those people? Why not? Marilyn wrote a wonderful piece in the newsletter in her musing section. And to quote this famous author and blogger, Marilyn says, "A grateful heart calls us to focus on our blessing, not our complaints. And when we do, they blossom before our eyes." And as Howard Thurman would say, keep fresh before us our moments of high resolve. When we have been touched, hold those dearly as an anchoring point when the seas get rough. Can we hold fresh our blessings, or do we focus on our complaints? Well, it's a tricky one because we love to complain. I love to complain. And depends upon the quality of complaint. Now, if we're really attached to that complaint, if it really resonates in our body and we have a charge on it, well, yeah, that can really stick in our nervous system. So there's simple complaining, and then there is deep complaining. And it's that deep complaining that it's important to watch. And if we feel that sense of deep complaining, and that takes waking up, we can then shift it into counting our blessings. When I was in the midst of my 15-year chronic back pain, and somewhere in the middle of that, I was crying myself to sleep. Poor me, I'm feeling horrible, and I was really having a hard time working. And so I'm walking on Piedmont Avenue, going back to the job site, and feeling really I was having a pity party, with tea. And I saw this blind man walking towards me with a stick. And when you hit that growing edge, that part within you that goes, oh man, it's like to turn the mirror around. And I saw myself and I said, you whiny little, fill in the rest. And in that moment, that blind man had a smile as he was clicking his way along. He was just being there on the street sidewalk, just walking along. And I thought to myself, would I trade my sight to get rid of my back pain? There it is. Would I trade my problems for your problems? Or maybe I can look at my problems differently. Maybe I can take a look at what are my blessings? And in that moment, that was the growing edge. And in that moment, yes, I could see I had 2 feet, I had arms. Yes, my back hurt. It consistently hurt, but I could see, I could speak, I could do all of those things. That's pretty cool. And something shifted. This is what I call the wake up, that growing edge where a new sprout starts to grow along in that garden. I asked Susan Susan's my wife, and or actually I'm her husband. I asked her about what's it feel like to be gratitude. We have these conversations going to Costco because we're in the car and Costco sets the mood. So what she said, well, when I'm feeling grateful, the whole world feels a little more alive. It feels fresh. It feels sort of sweet. I feel okay. I just I'm feeling good. But most of all, I feel like I belong. That was a surprise. Think about that. When you're feeling grateful, when I'm actually in gratitude, my complaints disappear. I no longer have a complaint. And somehow I don't feel alone. I feel a bit of connection. This is the power of gratitude. Somehow it brings us to the realization that we're more than our complaints. We are our blessings. And I think this is, if we're moving spiritually to go deeper, I don't think there is a better practice than practicing gratitude, generosity, kindness. They all drive in the same carpool lane, as you know. They go to Costco together. Why can't we keep before us these moments of tenderness, these moments when we are grateful? Will they fade as they are designed to do? It's part of our nervous system. What doesn't fade is our danger points, our points of our fear. The funny thing is that our danger is kept in our nervous system in a much wider neural network than our joys. And that's important to remember, that we'll remember the bad times more easily than we remember the good times. Here's an example. Susan, I'll use as an example. The house that was built next door to us, good looking house, until they put that coating of orange Tuscany stucco all over it. And Susan flipped out. I thought it was pretty cool, but she flipped out. And I hate that color. Oh God, it's driving me crazy. I come home and I see that, and I said, you hear the complaint. Now, what's that doing to Susan's nervous system? And how is she reinforcing that complaint? The color is orange. Get over it. Nothing you can do. But yet we go on and oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. I get it. I've done it. I will know I will do it again. But can I look beyond that? Can I simply look beyond my complaints, my dissatisfaction, my wanting to control life? Can I look beyond that into what is it that I want? Do I want those moments of heartfulness? Do I want those moments of connection, of not feeling alone? Do I want to get to a place where my complaints are no longer relevant? That I get to a place that is so yummy, so savoring, that everything relaxes and I'm at ease. I'm at, we'll call it oneness, where there's no separation. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. As soon as the mind stops, what is left? Pure awareness. Awareness of this moment. It's kind of like the movie. You go to a movie house, screen, there's a horror movie up there on the screen. Don't go in there. It's Jason, I'm sure, with a hockey mask. And, you know, part of us likes to be scared. But all of a sudden, the film breaks and you see a white screen and you flip out of the trance. Oh my God, I'm in a movie. And there's just the screen. And then the next thought is, this is the growing edge, when you realize movie after movie of our life plays upon that screen. The screen doesn't care. All of our drama unfolds on that screen of awareness, pure awareness. And awareness doesn't care. It accepts whatever is put up. We can call that screen the beloved. We can call it pure awareness. We can call it the infinite now. But when we see that, when we see that we're not the movie, but we are the screen, because the movie comes and goes. It is always comes and goes. At night, the movie projector goes to sleep. And what's left is the blank screen. So, getting back to Susan and her dislike of the orange paint or stucco, I said, Susan, you know, in a year from now, you won't even notice that. Yes, I will. A year later, I don't notice it. I'm okay with it. Not really, but I'm okay with it. What happened to the complaint? It becomes normalized. If we don't feed it, it doesn't grow. But if we continue feeding it every day, I hate that color, I hate that, it feeds it. It keeps it fresh. So in a sense, when we keep our complaints, we keep our losses, just call them complaints, when we call that, when we keep bringing it up, we're re-energizing the system. We're making it real again and again and again. And the only place that is real is within our minds. It's the only place. I asked my cat, do you like the orange paint? I don't know what orange is. I see in different hues than you do. So it's like, it's me that has the complaint. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to keep reinforcing it? Do I want to simply let it go? Now, letting it go is focusing on it. Oh God, now I've got to let it go. Now I've got this problem of letting it go. Oh God, I can't let it go. Oh man. Change the focus. If we continue focusing on holding on to it or letting it go, we're still immersed in it. We're still holding on to it. However, if we shift our focus, what is it that I want rather than what is my complaint? What is it that I want? I want to feel the grateful heart. I want to live as the grateful heart. My friend, she told me a couple of weeks ago, she was married for 28 years and she came home to a house that was empty and she looked on her phone and there was a text from her husband. I'm leaving you. I want a divorce. What is that? So her whole life was pulled out. She happens to be one of those people that lives with a grateful heart. And this was a challenge that brought her to her knees. And this is what the humility is all about. How am I going to deal with this? My whole life. I don't know what I'm going to do about my money, the credit cards, the house. I've got a mortgage. I've got kids, 4 of them. What, it's like, what? This is a... And he ghosted her. Couldn't get a hold of him. And a couple days later, she needed to be in another state and to give a lecture. So she goes to the airport and she's in tears. She's just a wreck. So she cries in the airport. She gets on the plane. She's crying the whole flight. She gets off. She's crying in the airport. She's crying in the Uber. She's crying in her hotel room. And she gets to where she's going to be lecturing. She says, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can actually get up and not just fall apart. And because of that generosity, that heartfulness, she didn't share much other than I'm having a really, really tough time. Bear with me. I just have to, I've had some really bad news. And then she went on to say, she got through the lecture. They loved her. She lightened up. Somehow in the middle of the lecture, something shifted. The focus shifted. And her complaint and all of that disappeared. Of course, it came back. But when the shift of focus happens, something disappears. The mind is occupied, and the mind is where our suffering lives. The mind was occupied with something else. So she went on back to tell when she was in the airport, people would come up to her and say, oh, honey, what's going on? You look really like you're having a tough time. And she said, yeah, I am. I really am. And she was generous and she was heartful in the way she spoke to the strangers that came up. These strangers were so kind, and she was kind in return. And there was this giving and taking of the heart. She didn't feel alone. It seems like as she opened, the universe poured into her. People came up to her. And this is the beauty of living with an open heart. That open heart is available. It's available to be touched, and it can touch in return. And so as she was comforted, she actually was comforting other people in the process. And you can see how that works. When someone is grateful for your gratitude, that's pretty cool. And so she said, I sat next to this person on the plane. I'm blubbering away. Then the stewardess was so nice to me, sweetheart, what would you like? I can see. And then the guy next to her, and so they talked the whole way. And this connection, connection after connection after connection. She's doing okay right now. She's got a good lawyer. She's feeling hopeful. I'll keep you posted. But she's not bitter. And that's huge. And she realizes that she is more in mourning for the life that she thought that she had. And now she has woken up to perhaps what it really was, and that she couldn't see it. This is her growing edge. And do you close down, or do you remain open, looking for the very next step and knowing that it will appear according to what you're putting out in the world? So if your next step, if you're looking for that complaint because that's what you're acclimatized to, you will find that next step might involve a complaint. But if you're looking for your blessing, that next step will probably contain a blessing. So what are you looking for? What's really important to you? I think I'm going to close with this quote. This is from Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. And he says, "Be grateful to all, to those who have helped you, to those who have hindered you, and to those who have been indifferent to you." Be grateful to all, because all together they create the context in which Buddhas are born, in which you can realize your true Buddha nature. By being grateful to what is given and keeping that fresh before us, we fall into the realm of that growing edge where Buddhas are actually born. Let's take that into prayer. As we breathe together, the oneness and the silence of not only this sanctuary, but that which lies and encircles the whole planet and the beyond. As we become aware that the awareness that was within us, that movie screen that knows no boundary, knows no distinction, that has no opinion, that open movie screen of life we'll call the beloved. And I speak a word for all of us today, declaring that each has become more aware of our growing edge and the importance of cultivating a grateful heart. We vow to increase our kindness, to appreciate what is given, and to focus on our blessings. We accept a full blossoming of love and connection as the great context in which all Buddhas are born. In humble gratitude, I simply release this prayer as we do so together by saying, "And so it is." Amen.